When is the right time to lead in innovation?
AI.
Could artificial intelligence be the solution?
The time is now.
Around 80 years ago, with the invention of computers,
we went from handmade to machine-made. If we fast forward to today,
the UK have signed a landmark agreement on artificial intelligence.
We have 1,800 AI companies in the UK.
AI really is far more exponential than people realize.
With Microsoft on your team, you'll transform your organization.
we've continued to lead as an AI innovation hub. AI really does have the potential to massively accelerate GDP growth.
Could add 550 billion to the UK's GDP by 2035.
It's a fantastic moment for the UK.
The ambition here is really big. We're doing something together to create the UK's leading AI-powered growth.
With Copilot, we can really simplify our entire way of operating.
And that means for our social workers that it fills up a huge amount of time.
We're really happy to be working with Microsoft on this as a partner.
We could halve the time people spend on administrative activity with no delays or impediments to data, which allow people to have up to 4 hours spare per week. And that's a huge amount of difference.
AI, the essence of the future. We are at an inflection point in the history of humanity.
It's fantastic to see the progress, but what comes next? That's the exciting stuff.
It feels like we're right at the very beginning of this moment.
The time is now.
Please welcome to the stage CEO, Microsoft UK, Clare Barclay.
It's great to have you all back. That's amazing. Thank you. What an energizing day. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something today. I hope you've networked with people. And that's kind of what we've put on. So my job, we obviously have some amazing closing speakers that I have the pleasure of interviewing in a moment. But I just wanted to share a few reflections on what's next to sort of end the day, and just take a little bit to share about, like, if I was in your shoes, maybe some things to think about as you take away. So I think by this stage of the day, you've probably got the message that things are changing. There's an opportunity to recapture. If you haven't, you probably haven't been watching. But I've certainly been inspired by many of the customers that I've had the pleasure of meeting with today. One of the things I get to do when Satya's in town, I get to meet all the customers with him. So everything from creating AI-enabled wells that BP are doing to try and build a different way of doing engineering, through to we had an amazing meeting with one of the research institutes about how to think about AI for developing protein biology. Some of these things kind of blow your mind. I sit as a board member of the British Heart Foundation, and there's some incredible stuff to change future science for heart disease. So some really amazing stories that are actually changing the world and changing people's lives, which is pretty incredible. So I think as you think about your own industry, think about the things that are going on there. And I think what I like about the stories is it's not just about what we do with the tech. It's really about how we put AI to work and how we put that in the hands of our people so that they can do their best work. If you think about what it's here to do, all of you in the room are hoping to increase revenue and your growth. You're also hoping that it will optimize costs. I think if I look at some familiar faces in the room, I know that's a topic I've had for conversations with many of you. And then ultimately, you want to enable your employees to thrive, be more productive, and deliver work, and hopefully love their job so that they can actually deliver the benefits above for all of you. And we have to do that in a really responsible way. I think Satya talked about this earlier on in the keynote, but you've got to get AI and responsible AI right from the outset. Back in 2019, we released our responsible AI principles, have continued to partner with both customers and with governments to continue to develop them. We have about 1,000 people at Microsoft globally that are working in the field of responsible AI, and we prioritize both understanding it and commitment to those principles, as well as actually how you put that into practice, because everybody can write a guide, but you've actually got to live the truth and the principles for how that comes together. We publish it very regularly, and we're very open about the things that we're learning, good and bad. And there's a lot of toolkits that are available. So I think as you're thinking about the approach for your own organization, I would really encourage you to kind of both give us feedback on that, but also, take advantage of the things that we're learning. So I guess the real question as you sort of leave today is what do you take away with it? I'm sure you've all learned some things, but I always think learning is best put into practice. Where do you start if you've not got started yet, or where do you look to accelerate? And I hope you got the sense that businesses are moving from experimentation into implementation. What's interesting for me when we run these conferences sometimes annually, you get to see the AI speed over a year. And I certainly felt that today in terms of the many customers that are doing things very differently and they're really thinking about implementation. And based on a recent Deloitte study that was published just a month ago, 2/3 of enterprises are now increasing their investment in AI. So it's kind of becoming table stakes across the enterprise. And then 42% of those organizations are reporting efficiency, productivity, and cost reduction as their single most important benefit to achieve. So when you think about how you approach it, I think there's maybe two things to think about. One is there's obviously the productivity side, which is really like how do you think about the evolution side of it. But I would really encourage you to think about revolution. There are things that will fundamentally change and shift the business model that you have. And there are a lot of examples where organizations are having to run this evolution and revolution in tandem together. So, one is how you think big, evolve your business model, drive new opportunity. The other is about what are you doing today, doing it more efficiently, and putting AI to work for you and your people. So you put the right metrics around that, and then you can deliver better value, more effectiveness for your organization. There's a lot here on this next slide. It's a little bit of an eye chart, but hopefully it'll do. But this is often when I spend time in executive briefings with many boards and executive teams. This is the one they want me to spend the most time on, so I was like, I'm going to use this slide. Because you're looking at the key processes by function and thinking about what AI enablement would look like. This is our experience of where we're seeing the best value in terms of those functions. And the good news is, because we're 12 months into the journey of the release of Copilot, we have really good proven use cases and proven business value for us to consider. And you can check out the UKAIHub at the bottom that will give you more guidance to how you think about that. So I'll leave that with you as food for thought to think through. But rather than hear from me, I think it's always important to hear real examples from customers. And one customer that has really inspired me is the partnership with Vodafone. And I think it's an organization, they have had to think about how to think about growth, how to think about profitability within their organization. But they've really thought about both innovation and efficiency. They're on the journey. So, you'll get to hear what that feels like to be on the journey. But they have thought broadly and deeply about how they think about that within their business. So it gives me great pleasure to welcome Vodafone's Chief Executive Officer, Margherita Della Valle, to the stage. Well, welcome. It's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful to have you here. So I guess, I'm hoping Vodafone doesn't need an introduction, but I don't know if you want to say a few things about yourself and the company just to kick us off.
Well, the largest telecommunication company in Europe and Africa. We have 600 million customer relationship across the two regions. And we do everything in telcos, from mobile, which is what people mostly know us about, fixed, TV, and also financial services. We have almost 100 million customers on financial services in Africa. And then finally, something very few people do indeed know, we carry 1/6 of the world internet traffic on our terrestrial and subsea cables.
Okay, that's quite a big operation to run. So maybe if we go back in time a couple of years ago, do you want to talk about what prompted the change that led to Vodafone being on the kind of transformation and AI journey that you've been on? What are the challenges that you faced, and how did the team identify and get started in the journey that you've now been on?
I need to say AI in Vodafone comes into a context of change which is much broader than just AI. I became CEO about 18 months ago, and I've been with the company for 30 years. And I've done lots of different jobs, as you can imagine. Started in marketing, finished in finance, did operations in between. So when I became CEO, I had some very strong views, as you can expect, on what needed and what could change to make us a better and more successful company. And in a nutshell, in the first 12 months, all this is the last 18 months, in the first 12 months, we changed quite a few things. We changed the markets in which we choose to operate. We changed the balance between B2B and B2C inside Vodafone. We obviously simplified our organization. And most importantly for AI, we redesigned the company around the service to the customers. And I'll come to that in a minute, but maybe if I say a word of context around the various changes first. So changing our markets, in the UK we are doubling up. You may have read we are in the final stages of approval of a merger with Three, so we double up. We will control the merged company with the intent to own it over time. B2B and B2C, it's important because many people see Vodafone as bringing an historical sort of DNA of a B2C company. Everyone knows the B2C side of the brand, but actually, a third of our revenues are in B2B. It's our fastest growing segment, and we bring companies the ability to digitize across Europe and Africa with cloud, security, you name it. And this is, in a way, the key reason why we're here today, because I remember probably just about a month after becoming CEO, I was in a VC with Satya because I was repositioning the company with investments and resources toward B2B with the idea I need to bring to my B2B customers the best that is out there, and obviously working with Microsoft in a more strategic relationship was essential for me to achieve just that. But perhaps the most important point is the customers. And I often say that telcos are not good at all at customer service. Historically, we really didn't get this right. Typically, we're passionate about, our engineers are passionate about their networks, but the basics of customer service have been a bit sort of left aside. Well, in the last 18 months in Vodafone, we have really changed careers, resource allocation, decision-making, all to effectively do what we exist for, which is better serve our customers. And I need to say, and you are part of this journey now with us, that 18 months on, we have seen the results. And for example, in the UK, again, given we are here today, for the last 6 months, we've been #1 in customer satisfaction in the market, which is something the company had never seen. Much more needs to be done. We are the best of a bunch that still has to improve, let's put it this way. But I would say that's been our #1 objective for change. And it's in this context that we're working together on AI.
I love that. I love that. Well, congratulations. I mean, you may say there's more progress to go, but congratulations on the progress made. So how do you think AI is helping to advance Vodafone's transformation? And then how are you measuring progress and success? And I know that area is very important to you, having spent time with you and your executive team. You don't want it to be just a thing. You want it to be really something you make progress on.
Yes, and one of the key points for me is to make sure that we move from the broad brush statements of proof of concept, you can say 70% here, 50% there, etc., to actually using AI at scale and changing the company through AI. In order to do this, I need to say the first thing for us was to create the right setting to drive AI at scale, which meant creating a governance around it. So we have an AI board as part of the executive committee. led by our CTO. Actually, Scott Petty here is the engineer of all what I'm going to say next, so all thanks to him, if you want to ask him. We have set an AI architecture which is underpinned by 3 very important things. One is data, and we were fortunate enough, again, or I was fortunate enough to inherit a company that had already put all the data of all our European data in a single data lake, so we can leverage that. An architecture that is independent of the models. None of us can pick today which LLMs will work better than others for different use cases in the future. So everything we do is, I would say, LLM agnostic. We have an architecture that allows us to switch even within the same use cases, sometimes even just for cost effectiveness. And then the final point is, of course, applying AI responsibly. So we have this governance that oversees this under the watchful eye of Scott. And we have gone out to implement the 10 best business cases we found at scale, very rigorously across the board. And you wouldn't be surprised to hear that the first 3 are all around customer service, because I think it's an opportunity to leapfrog some of the issues that the sector has had. And I need to say the results are really exceptional. We, in customer service, we do 3 things, maybe, if I give just a practical example. Yeah. If you had asked me a year ago, the first thing we did was apply Gen AI to speech analytics. So just all the calls you receive, get AI to analyze them. Much more effective than asking your reps to classify. You understand better why the customers are calling, basic. The second, which is the success of today, is moving our chatbots from normal AI or machine learning to Gen AI. We call our chatbot now super chatbots. And then giving our agents the ability to have a co-pilot helping them, which we call now super agent. I need to say the super chatbot results have been exceptional. We serve every month 45 million customers with our chatbots across the group, 15 different languages. The first 7 million have now moved from normal AI to Gen AI. And we have seen that the understanding of what the customers want has moved from, call it 70% to 95%. So it's there. But importantly, the closing of the call, so the customer doesn't need anything else, has moved from 55 to 85%.
Wow.
And Net Promoter Score, the way we measure customer satisfaction, I'm sure many of you have the same in your businesses, 50 points of NPS gained.
Wow.
I think everyone, or mostly everyone in this room will know that it takes sometimes years.
It takes years to move a couple of points. Yeah, totally.
And this was just by shifting our chatbots to Gen AI. On the agents front, it's not a miracle cure in the sense that the experienced agents, more or less, keep doing what they were doing before. But the great opportunity is that you take agents that have just gone through the training, and suddenly, with the support of AI, they become as effective as the experienced agents. Yeah. And you can start, I think Satya was talking a bit about this before, you can start moving people around across areas they have no experience in, because they can be productive straight away. So with that, obviously, we are very encouraged about the potential, and we're putting all our resources to roll out these 10 business cases as fast as we can, because scale is what matters.
Yeah, wonderful. That's amazing results. You touched a little bit on skills and AI as a skill lifter for people. What are you doing to kind of more broadly foster AI skills within the organization? And then how do you make yourself a sort of attractive for talent to come in?
I need to say that when I think about people, the first thing that I think is worth sharing is the reaction we had from the people in the company in working with AI, because to some extent there were surprising elements in it. We measure, obviously, our employee engagement as well as our customer satisfaction, and we are using, for example, GitHub for the coders. We are using the super chatbots in the call center. Our employees that are working with AI want more of it. Universally, really more than 90% say, give me more. And our employee engagement in our front lines, for example, is the highest we've ever had before. Not all due to AI, of course, but it tells you that it's a strong sense of opportunities for the people that work with it. On the training, we have 3 levels. We have, since 6 months, done a sort of foundation training for all the employees. And we are now also giving to more than 70% of our employees, so we have 70,000 people, the ability to use Copilot in their daily life as they wish, which I think is also a nice opportunity to train. So we are creating confidence with this foundational training. We then have specific trainings for the people that need to deal with AI. And then finally, and importantly, we have training for the leadership, for people like me who, according to Scott, are really the worst at making the most of AI. So we are bringing ourselves up to speed.
There'll be a new leader bot for you. There you go. I think we've talked about in the conference that AI is impacting kind of every sector and organization. And obviously, telcos like Vodafone are integral to the advancement of AI on multiple fronts, if you think about all of the infrastructure, et cetera. What do you see as the role of telcos in enabling this? And I know this is a conversation that we jointly have with the UK government as well. So what would you say there?
We have 2 different roles to play. One is supplying the connectivity for AI to work, and the second is actually enabling more companies through our B2B services to leverage AI. The first is very often forgotten. When people think about barriers to AI adoption, they think we need more computing power. We need more energy, cheaper energy. But actually, we also need much better connectivity. Because if you think about the world that Satya was describing this morning when he said it's agentic.
Agentic.
An agentic world. It's the first time I hear this. There will all these agents that will support us as individuals or businesses as businesses and will work in the background with each other. Will need very good connectivity. You are a field service worker, you are on the ground, you are going to exchange videos real time with your AI agent to improve your service. You are an interior designer, you are a creator of content. All these will require fast networks and low latency, low intervals networks. And as we discussed, to your point, very often here in the UK, today, the UK doesn't have a great infrastructure for connectivity, but we have an 11 billion investment plan as Vodafone through the merger to create the best-in-class 5G network that this country deserves. And I think this will be really critical. Competition through investment, better network to allow the UK to flourish and everyone to use AI. Irrespective of the location. The second point, which is bringing AI to our customers, this is something we do together. I was saying B2B is very important for Vodafone, and it's our fastest growing segment. We are today the fastest growing telco in Europe in B2B, and our sweet spot is the small businesses that don't have, for example, an IT guy that can serve their AI needs. And therefore, we are integrating AI in the suite of services that we bring to these customers so that they can, straight away, as they jump into the cloud, as they get into the digitization of their business, also benefit immediately from AI in a simple way.
Yeah, which actually, in the government event that we ran this morning, that's one of the key unlocks for productivity for the country as well. So stare into your crystal ball. Maybe stare out 5 years or so from now. What do you think is the greatest hope for the development and deployment of AI? And then what advice would you have to share with other leaders in the room here or watching online?
In terms of expectation and hopes from AI, I mean, you are probably more qualified than I am to speak about the bigger picture. I will talk to telcos. For me, my great hope is to bring the service to our customer to a different level of quality and also become much more efficient and effective in managing really best-in-class networks that will have to carry much more traffic in a way that is also good for the planet, for example, by optimizing it through AI. In terms of advice, I'd say, for me, it's, first of all, take this very seriously. I think when you have a discontinuity in technology, what happens is, in each of our industries, it will change the game. The winners and losers of today are not necessarily the winners and losers of tomorrow, simply because the impact is so big.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's important to be there, but to focus the resources on implementing a few things done well. I think one of the biggest risks we're on is to die by proof of concepts. Everyone experimenting, everyone getting very excited, but you don't get actually the real impact, which you only get if you do things at scale. And then a final point, because it's something I see very much in some of my instead largest customers. If you want to do this seriously and at scale, invest in senior AI resources, a chief digital officer, your version of my chief digital officer. So many companies, even as big as Vodafone in the UK, still don't have IT in their top management board.
I agree.
And in this day and age, I don't think you can afford to do that.
Yeah, yeah, because they're the ones that will help push the change within the company and the organization.
And understand what's going on. I mean, the speed of change, as we have seen today, will keep accelerating. And in order to make sure you are on the right side of the equation, you need to have your eyes really open to the change and also how you bring it into the company, which is why you need experts.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Well, listen, Margherita, that's, thank you for sharing your perspective. Thank you for the partnership. And I'm sure you'll all join me in thanking Margherita for her insights. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Lovely. Thank you.
Thank you
so much. Yeah. Thank you to all the customers, partners, the team that are here. This days take a village to put on. I hope you'll continue the partnership with Microsoft. We are proud to partner with all of you. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you.